So as usual, we're on some pretty damp, snowy, bumpy Yorkshire roads, and that should be perfect proving grounds for a car which is from a brand that is basically built off the back of four-wheel drive. So this particular car has actually been remapped to about 360 horsepower, which actually puts it up towards M2 AMG 845 RS3 performance. And on these country roads like this, in these conditions, this is about as fast a car as you're gonna get. So having owned a few fast Audis in the past, I'm intrigued to see if Audi have done something about that understeer that's plagued their performance cars for years. Even the old Audi Sport Quattro had a massive problem with it, but they still managed to win plenty of Group B rallies with that thing. The S3 has always been a grown-up performance hatchback, less drug dealer than its more expensive, garish big brother the RS3, and slightly more acceptable than a Golf GTI for someone having a midlife crisis. It might not be much to look at, but that's kind of precisely the point. The S3's discreet looks and Audi's premium, clinical, Bavarian build quality make for possibly the most understated fast hatch available. 2 litres, 4 turbocharged cylinders, 296 brake horsepower and 380 Newton meters from pretty much everywhere in the rev range, 1,800 to 5,500 RPM. As usual with performance Audis, it features the legendary Haldex-based Quattro system. It is though, in true Audi style, a bit on the lardy side at nearly 1,500 kilograms. So the engine then, it's got a serious appetite for revs and it's pretty much happy in any gear. It's not the RS3 5-cylinder sound, but it's definitely got a bit of grunt to it. So what's the drive like? I've actually got this in the dynamic mode, which gives you a little bit more of a heavy steering rack. You don't get that much feel from it though, that's the only problem with this car. Even though when you've got it set in the dynamic mode, it might get heavier, but it's still a little bit numb. The chassis is firm, but not uncomfortable. It's just a really confident car, feels really planted on the road, especially with that Quattro system. It's excellent under braking as well, and you can turn it in and just squirt it out of the corner. It just goes straight into the rev limiter. It loves these corners and it just gobbles up the bumps as well. It's just asking for another gear all the time. The pull is pretty savage, to be honest. Does it understeer? No, I mean, in these conditions, I'm obviously not really pushing it as hard as I can, but it's just confident. It just feels very planted, and it just gives you the confidence to keep going and keep pushing. This obviously is a 6-speed manual, which for me is the one to go for. But if you want a more mature car, you can get it in a 7-speed S-tronic dual clutch. What's it like in here then? It's German, clean, refined. I think Audi are just on it at the moment in terms of like interiors. They're just really good quality. There are little bits of plastic obviously in the S3, the A3, which is the lower down the range, but they hide it so well. Everything's just black. We've got the black headliner. It's all black down here. There's like expensive looking trim down here by the gear stick, which is just plastic, but it's got a nice effect to it, which makes it look more expensive than it actually is. Before I drove this car, I was a little bit skeptical. You know, the Audi understeery thing and the sort of salesman-y looks, and I just thought that it was going to be a little bit boring. Is it a full-bodied, enthralling driving experience? No. If you want something like that, buy something like a Peugeot 205 GTI or a M3. But actually, on these roads, in these conditions, this is about as rounded and about as fast a car as you're going to get.